Hey, what's up guys? John here. I believe we could be now just entering the everything bubble. Before, we've seen, a lot of people discussing this crash. I've even discussed it. I thought that we were going to see a very big pullback because I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen an environment where the entire core fundamentals exits the room and everything is held by, the money printer, zero interest rates, and pure speculation with very little fundamentals. That's not a market I operate in, and it's not one that I feel comfortable operating in, where it's like a game of musical chairs and someone else is controlling the music. But what I think is very unique about this specific market is that we are seeing a couple things happen. So first, what we're seeing this inflation problem in America. Everybody's saying that gas is up 60%. That's going to continue rising, by the way. Utility prices are up, but food prices are following. Housing prices are following. Car prices are following. Everything is following this trend. And now Biden comes out, and I talked about this, saying that 2022 is going to be very reminiscent of 2021, meaning rising costs, which people and employees are going to demand that their employers increase pay to meet these newfound costs. That's why we have Target offering $24, $25 an hour. $25 an hour to work at Target? What's the point of going to college to make $30 or $35 an hour if it's going to cost you 4 years to get there? It's going to cost you $100,000 in tuition fees and 4 years of your life when you can just go to Target and make that money and work the whole way through, right? This is the new environment we're stepping into. But this is coupled with a couple very unique trends. The first is we look at the peso in Mexico and Argentina and Latin America. It's falling, right? It's falling. The Turkish lira, falling in a very, very big way, so much so that citizens are pulling their money out of the bank and they're going to buy iPhones as a store of value over having it in the bank. I mean, that really says a lot to me. We look at what's happening right now in Russia. The currency collapsed 30% overnight, and now the ruble is worth less than a penny. We look at Ukraine. We look at even the rupee in India collapsing, right? We look at all these, Cambodia, for example, they generally use the dollar, and the dollar's falling in value. You have all these currencies all over the world that are going under a lot of strain, a lot of pressure, except for the yen. The yen is actually holding up pretty stable, right? So what we are seeing right now is we're seeing rising prices across the board. These big corporations are likely going to be pricing this in because as they price this in and they increase their wages, they're going to secure talent, and they're going to be able to do this to benefit them greatly long term. But what I'm seeing right now with Shopify and Coinbase, a lot of other tech firms, a lot of firms they're relocating to other locations and they're hiring strictly in these other areas. For example, Coinbase and Shopify, they're now getting land, they're getting property in Latin America, and they're hiring talent there. So they're hiring talent for between, roughly 89,000 is kind of the going rate for engineers in Latin America. That same engineer might cost you 500,000 in Silicon Valley, right? So that $500,000 salary, paying someone 40,000-ish per month, you could go out there and you could hire 5 employees in Latin America to do the same job that you'd hire one person in Silicon Valley without all of the, the rights that are, required by America for employers to issue to their employees. So what I believe we're going to start to see happen is we're going to start to see this devaluation of global currencies in a very big way. And I think that a lot of people, are going to be looking at alternatives. Hey, what am I going to do? Am I just going to let my money die, my life savings die in this bank? Or am I going to go out there and put it to work? Am I going to buy gold? Am I going to buy silver? Am I going to buy iPhones? Am I going to buy real estate or cars? Or what am I going to buy? That's what I think is ultimately going to happen. Sure, we're going to have this affordability crisis that I think is going to be unlike anything we've ever seen, simply because all of these costs are being baked in and jammed down the throat of the middle class, right? And these big corporations that have so much money, and this money is getting devalued, what are they going to do? They're going to try to spread that dollar, stretch that dollar as far as they can. They're going to start outsourcing talent to South America, to India, to wherever else. They're going to outsource this talent, save money, and then take that money and come back to America or wherever else and start acquiring assets, hard, real assets. That's what's going to happen. That's what we are entering right now of this everything bubble. But the difference is that when we look at the stock market, global stock markets, what are we seeing? Poor people and middle class people, and the 99% are putting that money in the markets, right? In cryptos, they're getting it out. And what are they doing? They're just funneling the money to the big corporations. These big corporations are expanding their footprint, and they're going to start acquiring real assets and just grow and grow and growing. So when they're increasing wages, people are excited about it. They're like, yeah, we all deserve a minimum wage that we can live on. But the big difference is that they only have to do that for a couple of years. They only have to do it for a couple of years as automation starts rolling in, and then they can start cutting expenses. And as that 2 to 3 year, 5 year period unfolds, what's ultimately going to happen is small businesses aren't going to be able to compete, right? So this is what I think is happening. This everything bubble, I think, could continue to spread for another couple years. And at that whole point in time, everyone's going to allocate as much as they can into hard, real assets, and so are big companies. And that's what I think we're going to be entering right now. But what I find absolutely fascinating is this digital yen that China is rolling out right now that is backed by gold. And what they are saying is that they believe that this is going to be an international currency, right? An international currency. So when we look at all of this, what I think is going to be, what could be fascinating here, and this is pure speculation, this part, what I think could be fascinating is as everyone starts to go less and less in terms of their quality of living and these big corporations start expanding, people that need could potentially be paid through a digital currency, maybe a universal basic income or some type of subsidy, some type of coupon that they could cash in for food or for day-to-day expenses. That's what I think could very well happen. I also think we could start to see a very pullback on speculative stocks, speculative cryptos, speculative assets as people start getting very, very defensive about storing their money and not gambling. A couple things that are happening here is very unique. I predicted a lot of this work from home trend that's going to be a global situation because America, we've been so accustomed to having great healthcare, great food, you go anywhere, you can get anything. No one's starving to death in America. Everything has always been great here. And I think that this comfort in some way has been a handicap for us because we've been so used to this incredible comfort. But now what's going to happen is this comfort, the floodgates are going to be opening up to all these other countries. So that comfort, that capital, that tax revenue, those incomes are going to slowly start to be opening. We have 160 million Americans that are in this workforce. 7.7% of these people are in the tech space, right? What part of those people have to go into the office, right? What about finance? A lot of people in finance, they don't have to go to the office, right? A lot of people can work from home. So why would you pay someone 25 bucks an hour, 30 bucks an hour here when you can hire 3 people in Latin America, in Bogota, or in India, or wherever else? And you could hire a big team for hiring 1 or 2 or 3 employees. Doesn't make sense, right? This is what's going to happen. This is my prediction. That's why I think this everything bubble isn't going to collapse like a lot of people are thinking, simply because who the hell trusts their local currency? That's that big question. Who's going to trust it to hold that money over the next 5 years, 10 years, 2 years? Not me. I personally, I wouldn't trust what the dollar could be worth over the next 5 years. If I had $1,000 in the bank, hypothetically, right now, I would guess that $1,000 in 5 years will be worth less than $5,000. I would actually bet $1,000 on it, that it's going to be worth less than $1,000 purchasing power today. So if that's that case, then I'm paying a hefty tax, not only on when I spend it for sales tax, or I'm paying the hefty tax of just holding it, that peace of mind. When I would think that gold would probably be better, watches might be better, silver would be better, even cars would probably be better. I mean, everything is likely going to be better. And so if I'm thinking that, I bet a hell of a lot of other people are thinking the same thing. And so what are they going to do? Are they going to leave the money in the bank? We're seeing a run from the banks now, and obviously in places like Russia and Ukraine, we're seeing runs from the bank, but we're also seeing it in other places as well. People are getting very concerned. We're also seeing a lot of banks closing in America, thousands and thousands of banks closing in America. I believe we're going to see something big. I think it's going to be different. I think it's going to be surprising. And I think that when you look back on history, you can learn a lot of lessons. Most countries, there's never been a country that has held their reserve status, that has been the superpower forever. It usually goes away. And to me, it looks like when we have America contracting and we have a lot of great companies, a lot of great talent here, that's going to change. And I think that these opportunities are going to start leaving and flooding to other markets where, where they can really seek the real rewards. Because I think we're in this transitional period right now, and a very big transitional period. To me, it looks like India and China are about to really make a very big move. And I think Latin America as well is going to make a very big move. I would consider, if I didn't have a wife and kids, I would consider going to Latin America. I would consider going to China. I would consider going to any of these other markets. Because if you can make the same money and go there and increase your lifestyle 3 to 4 or 5x, why wouldn't you do it? If you're on a fixed income, on a retirement, and you had $100,000 in USD, and you could go to Mexico and retire hypothetically, why wouldn't people do this, right? And if people can work from home, I think this is what they're going to do. I think that we're going to start to see this great migration from America. I think the dollar's in big trouble. I think the lira's in big trouble. I think the peso. I think all currencies are in trouble. Next 5 to 10 years, I bet a digital currency comes out for sure. For sure. And it changes everything. And the big question is, what are these currencies going to be worth that we're all holding right now in the short term, in the midterm, in the long term? Drop your comments below. Do you think the everything bubble's popped? Do you think that people are going to want to sell their assets to take back this paper fiat? Drop it in the comments. Subscribe here. Consider subbing on my second channel, my personal channel down below, and also my TikTok where I post 4 to 5 times a day, content I won't post here. I'm going to leave links to all 3 channels down below. Subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later.